Have you ever wondered why every morning when you wake up, your heart feels heavy, as if carrying a gloomy sky? Sometimes nothing major has happened, yet your mind is in turmoil, worrying about the future, about work, about children, about health, about things that have never happened and may never happen. In this hurried pace of life, it seems each of us carries a burden called anxiety in our hearts. It infiltrates every breath, every sleep, leaving us restless, even for a moment. Did you know? Modern people live amidst countless conveniences, yet their minds are never at peace. The more we have, the more we fear losing it. The more we aspire to reach far, the more we fear failure. The more we desire happiness, the more we dread suffering. These contradictions stretch the heart like a rope pulled from both ends. One side is aspiration, the other is unease. And so, we live long days in exhaustion, without knowing why we are so drained. If today you are tired, if your mind is filled with unnamed worries, if last night you tossed and turned thinking about what's yet to come, then perhaps you've come to the right place. This place isn't for you to find a miracle, but for you to rest for a while, for us to sit down together, slow down, and listen to an ancient teaching of the Buddha, simple yet profound, like a dewdrop on a leaf. This life is lived only once. This saying seems simple, yet it's a wake-up call for those who are living as if adrift. We constantly worry about the future and forget the present. We are always calculating gains and losses, forgetting that each breath is slowly leaving us. The Buddha once taught that the root of suffering comes from an unquiet mind. The mind is unquiet because it chases after delusions. Delusions are unreal worries. We suffer not because the present has problems, but because our minds are always thinking about what's yet to come. I know you've been there too, looking up at the ceiling in the middle of the night, sighing over things you can't control. You've wondered why you've tried so hard, yet still haven't found peace. But my friend, peace doesn't lie in everything going smoothly, but in how we perceive life. When our minds are at peace, even a storm outside is just a gentle breeze passing by. The Buddha taught that anxiety is the shadow of attachment. The tighter we grasp, the more we hurt. The more we want something to happen our way, the more we fear when it doesn't. But life is inherently impermanent. Everything arises, exists, and then ceases to be. Nothing lasts forever, not even the worries in your heart. They come and they go if you allow them to. Therefore, in the words to come, Lin Ung Buddhist channel hopes you will temporarily set aside all worries so your heart can rest. See this as a conversation between two friends. No one judges, no one lectures, just listening to each other's hearts. The Buddha taught that letting go is not losing, but gaining peace, freedom, and living fully in this present moment. So today, we will learn to let go of anxiety so that our minds can be at peace and our lives can be lighter. Because, my friend, this life is lived only once. Are you ready to continue this path with me? A path not filled with calculations, but with listening and understanding. A path of awakening, of love, of returning to oneself. If you are ready, we will begin that journey. The journey of letting go of anxiety to find peace. Have you ever had days like this? Waking up in the middle of the night, Looking at the clock, it's only 2 a.m., but your heart is racing. You don't know why. You lie still, close your eyes, but your mind is still racing. Worrying about tomorrow's work, about upcoming bills. Worrying about something someone said to you yesterday. Worrying about things that haven't happened and may never happen. Then, when morning comes, you put on a normal face, smile, go to work, talk. But deep inside is a tangled mess no one can see. That is the burden called anxiety. The thing that makes modern people more exhausted than work, more exhausted than failure. Anxiety is a shapeless form of fear. It doesn't come from what is happening, but from what might happen. We fear losing what we have. We fear not being good enough to be loved. We fear others' judgment. We fear not being worthy. We fear an uncertain future ahead. And when we live in fear, we forget that this moment, this present, is the only thing we truly have. The Buddha once taught that those who live in the past are dead. Those who think of the future are unborn. Only those who live in the present are truly alive. But most of us choose to live as if unborn, always preoccupied with what's yet to come, always wanting to know what the future holds. This is why we lose our true lives. Zen Buddhist channel wants to tell you a small story. The story of Lan, an ordinary girl like many others. Lan is 30 years old, an office worker at a media company. Every day, she starts her morning with a cup of coffee. Sitting in front of her computer screen, her eyes fixed on an endless to-do list. Under the cold, white neon lights, Lan's face looks pensive. She is not lazy, nor is she weak. She is simply a person who constantly worries. Worries about her boss being displeased, worries about colleagues' judgments, worries about whether the company will lay off staff next month, worries about her aging parents, worries about unfulfilled plans. In the evening, returning to her small room, Lan often sits quietly for a long time, holding her cold coffee cup, staring out the window where car lights follow each other like an unending stream. Hundreds of questions echo in her mind, none with an answer. What if I lose my job? What if my parents get seriously ill? What if I don't get promoted in time? These what-ifs kept circling, gradually turning her life into a suffocating spiral. She started losing sleep, frequently suffered from headaches, felt exhausted, and even lost interest in anything. Once, at a reunion with old friends, Lan happened to sit next to an older friend, Uncle Hoa, a retired man with a gentle face and a slow smile. Noticing her fatigue, Uncle Hoa quietly asked, "Is work very stressful these days, dear?" Lan forced a smile and replied, "Yes, I guess it's because I worry too much. About work, about the future, about all sorts of things, and I don't even know why anymore." Uncle Hoa listened, then just nodded and slowly said, "Lan, do you know what anxiety is like? It's like a rocking chair. You sit on it, rocking back and forth, thinking you're doing something, but you're not actually going anywhere." Lan was silent. The image of the rocking chair kept appearing in her mind. Indeed, she had been sitting in it for many years, rocking herself in fear and thinking she was moving forward. But the more she worried, the more tired she became. The more she rocked, the less she moved. From that day on, Lan began to think differently. She practiced sitting still and breathing. In the morning, instead of rushing to check her phone, she brewed a cup of tea, inhaled deeply, feeling the gentle aroma permeate the space. She tried not to check emails first thing in the day, not to think about what would happen this week, just quietly watched the sunrise through the window. At first, her mind still raced, but then day by day, the worries in her heart began to settle. Lan realized that anxiety actually doesn't make things better. Worry doesn't make the future safer. Worry doesn't prevent loss. It only makes us lose our present peace. When she understood this, she gradually stopped blaming herself, stopped pressuring herself to be perfect, stopped comparing herself to others. She simply chose to live slowly, doing each task within her ability, and learning to trust that everything would unfold naturally. In Buddhist scriptures, there's a saying, "When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. When the mind is disturbed, everything is disturbed. When our hearts are full of anxiety, even in the quietest place, we feel uneasy. But when our minds are serene, even in the midst of a storm, we can smile." Anxiety does not lie in the external world, but in how we view the world. If we continue to look at everything with fearful eyes, this whole life will only be a series of days spent fleeing. But if we look with the eyes of awakening, even challenges become valuable lessons that help us grow. My dear friend, sometimes we think we must worry to control life, but in reality, no one can control the flow of karma. Everything comes and goes in its own way. The Buddha taught that all phenomena are impermanent. Nothing lasts forever, not even the fear in our hearts. We just need to sit down, take a deep breath, feel our own heartbeat, and you will see that anxiety can also dissipate like morning mist under the sun. If you are worried about the future, remember that the future has not arrived. It is just an image you draw in your mind. The present, the moment you are hearing these words, is what truly exists. Try to look around, feel the sounds, the light, the breath, the smells, the life happening. Everything is moving, but also still in its own way. And so are you. You are living, breathing, existing in this very moment. Lin Ung Buddhist channel knows that letting go of anxiety is not easy, because we are accustomed to worrying. Worry becomes a habit, like the breath of someone living in fear. But my friend, every habit can change. When we realize we are worrying, that is already the first step of awakening. From the moment we see our worry, we are no longer completely controlled by it. If today your mind is heavy, allow yourself to rest a little. No need to strain to make everything perfect. No need to try to find answers for the future. Just sit still, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale slowly. Feel each breath passing through. Feel your heart soften a little. Stop worrying, my friend. Life does not need us to worry to flow. It flows regardless of whether we worry or not. But when we stop worrying, the current of life suddenly becomes gentler. Like Lan, you will one day realize that the worries in your heart are not real. They are just a rocking chair. You sit on it, thinking you are moving forward, but in reality, you are just rocking in the same spot. Step off that chair. Place your feet on the ground of the present. Feel the warmth of life in every moment. That is the gift the Buddha showed us, the gift of awakening, of truly living. And then you will see that when you stop fearing, everything is still okay. The sun still rises, the wind still blows. Loved ones are still there, and you are still alive. In this life, lived only once. Live it fully, my friend, not with worry, but with serenity in every breath. Have you ever noticed? The biggest worries in life often come from things we cannot change. The more we resist, the more tired we feel. The more we try to hold on, the more it slips through our fingers. The more we try to control, the more uneasy our hearts become. There are days when we wish we could stop the rain, stop people from changing, make life go exactly as we want. But the more we live, the more we realize that some things can only be accepted, not changed. And strangely enough, when we learn to accept, the worries suddenly lighten, like clouds dissipating in the wind. People worry the most when they haven't learned to accept. Why? Because deep down, we still believe we can make everything go our way. We want to keep people, want to prevent work from leaving, want life to be calm without storms. But life does not follow anyone's plan. From the rain falling outside the window, to a loved one turning their back, to even the unexpected turns of fate, everything unfolds like a flowing river, not stopping just because we want it to. I remember a saying of the Buddha: suffering does not come from events, but from how we perceive events. When we don't accept, we resist. When we resist, we suffer. But when we accept, the mind opens up. It's like when it's raining. We can use an umbrella, wear a raincoat, or take shelter, but we cannot make the rain stop. Rain can soak our clothes, but if our minds are at peace, rain can also become a song. I want to tell you a story about Ba Nam, a small woman living in the Mekong Delta countryside, where green canals reflect coconut trees and rice fields stretch endlessly to the horizon. Ba Nam ran a small stall at the village entrance. Early mornings, she carried her goods to the market, rested a bit at noon, then in the afternoon, prepared sweet soup to sell to the children. Life was simple, not extravagant, but not lacking either. However, one thing troubled her for many years: rain. Every time it rained, her goods didn't sell, the market was empty, and she earned little profit. She would often sit on the porch, frowning and sighing. "Oh, Troy, why does it rain so much? How can I sell anything with this kind of rain?" Then she would irritably pack up her goods, her heart heavy. And so, every time the rain came, instead of resting, she would suffer more. One afternoon, the rain was heavier than usual, pouring down. Water dripped from the roof, and the smell of damp earth mingled with the rumbling thunder. Ba Nam sat on the porch, chin in hands, her gaze distant. Next to her, her 8-year-old grandson, T, ran out into the yard, tilting his face towards the rain, laughing heartily. Seeing this, she gently said, "T, come inside, dear. You're getting all wet. With this rain, the fields will be flooded." The boy turned around, smiling brightly. "Grandma, the rain makes our rice grow better. Grandma said thanks to the rain, the fields won't dry out, and we'll harvest a lot of rice later." Ba Nam was startled. It was the first time she had heard anyone speak of rain with such joy. She looked out at the distant fields, the rice stalks swaying in the wind, lush green and strong. Rain fell on the fields, on the roof, on her grandson's smiling face. Suddenly, she laughed, a soft, gentle laugh that seemed to wash away years of irritation. From that day on, every time it rained, she no longer grumbled. She brewed a pot of tea, sat watching the rain fall, sometimes humming softly to the dripping sounds. She realized that rain was still rain, but her heart was no longer rainy. The rain outside hadn't changed. Only her mind had. Ba Nam's little story may be simple, but it contains a profound lesson. We cannot stop the rain, nor can we make life always sunny. But we can learn to be at peace, even in the rain. Acceptance does not mean giving up. Acceptance means clearly seeing what can be changed and what cannot, then serenely continuing to live. In the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha taught that suffering is a natural part of life. But along with suffering, he also pointed out the path to cessation of suffering, which is the path of understanding and acceptance. When we clearly understand the impermanent nature of all things, our hearts naturally lighten. Everything comes and goes, like waves crashing on the shore. Nothing can last forever. When we understand that all things will pass, what we need is not to try to stop the flow of life, but to learn to stand still in the current, smile, and move forward. Have you ever worried about things beyond your control? About what others think? About someone leaving you? About work? Money? The uncertain future? These are things we can strive for, but cannot control. So, instead of worrying, accept that you can only do your best and let destiny take its course. Like rain, we can use an umbrella, but we cannot stop the sky from falling. The Buddha once taught that if a problem can be solved, worry is useless. If a problem cannot be solved, worry is also useless. It sounds simple, but to live this way requires a lot of mindfulness, because the human mind naturally likes to control. We want everything our way, but life is a lesson in impermanence. Only when we understand this can we truly begin to live. You can try a simple method. When something makes you anxious, stop. Don't react hastily. Don't judge quickly. Ask yourself, can I change this? If yes, act. If no, take a deep breath and accept. Each breath is a return. Each exhale is a letting go. Gradually, you will realize that acceptance does not make you weak, but makes you stronger. For only those who dare to face reality are truly free. In Zen, there is a practice called contemplation of impermanence. It means seeing everything as constantly changing. Flowers bloom, then wither. Rain falls, then stops. Sadness comes, then goes. People come, then go. Breath comes in, then goes out. Nothing maintains a permanent form. When we practice such contemplation, our minds become soft. Whenever something doesn't go our way, we no longer feel agitated. We just smile. It's just another yun, karmic connection, circumstance. If you are going through rainy days in your life, remember Ba Nam's words. Don't blame the sky. Don't resent fate. Try sitting quietly and looking outside, listening to the rain like the sound of life. Each falling drop is an opportunity for us to practice acceptance. Let your heart be as open as those rice fields, so the rain can fall and still make it green. And you know, when we learn to accept, not only do worries dissipate, but joy also returns. Because then we no longer resist life, but merge with it. We no longer run from the present, but live fully in every moment. That is true freedom. Freedom from what we cannot control. In the evening before sleep, you can try sitting still, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and exhaling all that does not belong to you. Whisper to yourself, I accept everything as it is. I don't need a perfect world. I only need peace of mind. When you do this every day, gradually you will feel your mind lighten. Worries don't disappear immediately, but they will fade like mist in the morning sun. My friend, this life is lived only once. Don't let it pass in worry and resistance. Open your heart to embrace everything as an essential part of the journey. If it rains, let it rain. If the sun shines, let it shine. Everything happens for a reason. And if you live with a mind of acceptance, you will see that whether it's rain or sun, both carry a gift. I pray that after hearing these words, you will be able to smile a little more gently. If it rains today, sit down, drink a cup of tea, listen to the rain, and know that this life is still beautiful. For in the moment you know how to accept, you have truly taken a big step out of worry and returned to the serenity that is inherent in your heart. Have you ever felt that each day passes so quickly that you barely greet the sunshine in the morning before rushing to lay your head on the pillow at night, your heart still full of unnamed worries? Sometimes we go through an entire day and don't remember what we ate, what we said, or how many times we smiled. Everything happens like a whirlwind, sweeping us away in currents of work, responsibilities, phone calls, messages, appointments, and anxieties, seemingly small, but they completely occupy our minds. We are living in a world full of speed. People eat fast, walk fast, love fast, and get angry fast. Our whole lives seem to be forced into a framework of haste, calculations, and expectations. Sometimes you feel like you are living, but in reality, you are just running endlessly without knowing where you are running to. Sometimes, in the middle of a busy day, you suddenly notice your heart beating fast, your breath shallow, your mind tense. Everything happens so much that even when your body is still, your mind is still rushing everywhere. You eat, but your mind is not in the meal. You work, but your mind is not in the work. You lie down to sleep, but your mind is still anxious, still thinking about unfinished tasks, unspoken words. You are living, yet it's as if you are being pulled by an invisible current. The Buddha taught that people suffer because their minds are not in the present. When the mind is not at ease, even sitting still feels restless. When the mind is not awake, even with abundance, one feels lacking. We fear losing time, so we always want to do more, try harder. But then, this very excessive effort exhausts us. The mind no longer has space to breathe, to feel the life that is happening right now. Have you ever wondered why we are so tired, even though we haven't done anything wrong? Why do we feel empty, even though we have everything? Because we have forgotten how to slow down. We have forgotten that each breath can also be a gift. Each present moment, if lived fully, can also be a miracle. I remember an image that Zen masters often use. The human mind is like the surface of a lake. When the wind blows, the water ripples, and we cannot see the bottom. But when the wind stops, the water naturally clears, and we see everything clearly. Similarly, when your mind is full of anxiety, haste, and agitated by calculations, even if many opportunities and good things come, you cannot perceive them. Only when your mind stops, when you learn to be still, can wisdom manifest. Peace does not lie in a life with fewer storms, but in the mind being awake enough not to be swept away. There's a story I want to tell you about a young mother named Thao. Her story deeply resonated with me because it reflects the image of so many people in modern times. People who live wholeheartedly, but forget how to truly live. Thao is about 30 years old. She just gave birth to her first son. Like many young mothers, Thao loves her child endlessly, but she is also an online marketing professional. Her work keeps her constantly busy. In the morning, she juggles preparing milk for her son while quickly responding to emails. At noon, when her son sleeps, she opens her laptop to run ad campaigns. In the evening, instead of resting, she continues to review data and plan for tomorrow. Everything happens non-stop. There seems to be no room for stillness. One day, Thao was hunched over her desk, eyes glued to her laptop screen. In the living room, her son, Nam, was taking his first steps. The little boy stood up, took a few wobbly steps, then fell. His cry echoed. In that moment, Thao was startled. She rushed out and picked up her son. When she saw his innocent face with the clear, tear-filled eyes, she suddenly burst into tears. She realized she had missed the first moment her son learned to walk, a moment that nothing could repeat. She held her son, trembling, and said, "Mommy is sorry. I forgot this moment." Her tears mingled with her son's hair. Both were silent, only hearing the wind outside the window and the gentle breathing of the baby in his mother's arms. From that day on, Thao decided to dedicate at least a short period each day to truly be with her son. No phone, no computer, no work, just his breath, his laughter, and his eyes. Thao's story reminds me of the Buddha's teaching. He who lives in the past is dead. He who thinks of the future is unborn. Only he who lives in the present is truly alive. When our minds are constantly wandering to the past or future, we lose the only moment we truly possess. Now, do you realize that all joy, all pain, everything we experience can only happen in the present? Yet our minds are rarely there. When eating, we think about what we'll do after the meal. When walking, we think about arriving. When talking to someone, we think about someone else. And so, moment after moment passes, and we keep missing our own lives. The Buddha taught that our minds are like monkeys, like horses, always jumping restlessly. Every day, it runs from one worry to another, from one memory to another imagination. What we call fatigue largely doesn't come from work or circumstances, but from our minds incessantly pulling us. When the mind doesn't stop, we never rest. Someone once asked a Zen master, "Teacher, what must I do to find peace of mind?" The Zen master smiled and said, "When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you sleep, just sleep. When you breathe, just breathe." The disciple was surprised. "Is that all?" The master replied, "That's all, but few can do it." Indeed, mindfulness is not something distant. It is simply the ability to return fully to the present moment. When you are washing dishes, know that you are washing dishes. When you are watching the sunset, truly see it with all your heart, instead of raising your phone to take a picture. When you talk to someone, listen with full presence, no judgment, no comparison, no waiting for your turn to speak. Only then do you truly touch life. Mindfulness doesn't make you give up everything, but helps you live more deeply with what you have. A cup of tea, if drunk mindfully, can bring peace. A rain shower, if quietly observed, can also be meditation. A single breath, if noticed, is enough to help you return. You can try it right now. Sit still for a moment. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your breath going in and out. Just be aware of it. No need to try to change it. No need to control it. Just know that you are breathing. Each breath is a reminder that you are alive. And when you truly live in this moment, all worries of the future, all regrets of the past will lighten. The Buddha taught that the origin of suffering is because our minds are obscured by ignorance. And ignorance is not knowing, but forgetting that we are alive. When we remember to return, when we are awake, suffering dissipates. Because in the present moment, nothing is wrong. There is only breath, a smile, and life happening. I know that slowing down in this hurried world is not easy. Everyone has responsibilities to bear, tasks to do, people to care for. But amidst all that chaos, you can still find peace. If you know how to stop for a moment, to breathe, to see, to feel. Peace does not lie in having fewer tasks, but in how we do everything with mindfulness. Try starting with very small things. When you wake up, don't rush to pick up your phone. Open your eyes, take a deep breath, and smile at the new day. When you eat, thank the food that came to you today. When you work, put your whole heart into that work. When you are tired, allow yourself to rest. That is not weakness, but self-love. And every night, before going to bed, you can spend a few minutes breathing slowly and whispering, "Today I lived fully." Even if the day was difficult or chaotic, as long as you don't forget to return to yourself, you are still on the right path. You know what? Life is actually very short. We only live once. So don't let yourself merely exist and forget to live. Don't let the hurried pace of life turn your mind into a desert. Stop to hear your own footsteps, to feel the morning sun, to look deeply into the eyes of your loved ones and see that they are still here with you. The Buddha taught that one who knows how to live mindfully is a wise person, because wisdom does not come from books, but from deep observation of life. When your mind is at peace, you see everything more clearly. When your mind is agitated, you only see what you want to see. Mindfulness is the guiding light that helps you not get lost in the dusty current of life. Thayo, the young mother in the story, recounted years later that the moment I held my son in my arms, I understood that happiness is not far away. It is right here, in his breath, in his laughter, in my complete presence. That statement stayed with me. Is it true that happiness never leaves us? Is it just that we move too fast to realize it? My dear friend, if today your mind is tired, worried, and rushed, Allow yourself to stop for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Exhale slowly. Feel the soles of your feet touch the ground. Your hands touch life. Everything you need is here, not in the past, not in the future, only in this moment. And when you truly return to the present, you will see that all worries naturally dissipate, because anxiety can only live in the future. But in the present, when your mind is at peace, there is nothing to worry about. There is only gratitude, gentleness, and a small but profound sense of inner peace. So, my friend, today, pause for a moment in this hurried life to look deeply within yourself, to listen to your breath, to smile at life. Because life is lived only once. Don't waste it on unreal worries. Live mindfully so that every day that passes is a day worth living. Have you ever wondered why you always feel tired, even though no one is forcing you to overexert yourself? Sometimes you wake up in the morning, see the clear blue sky, hear birds singing from the porch, but your heart feels heavy. Not because today is a sad day, but simply because your mind has never been at peace. It always runs ahead, thinking about things that haven't happened, fearing what might be lost, and relentlessly seeking to make everything perfect. You think you're striving to live better, but in reality, you are tied up in your own worries. I understand that feeling, my friend, because all of us have been there. We think worrying a lot means caring, being responsible, being motivated to move forward. But in truth, often worry is just a form of fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of being left behind, fear of others surpassing us, fear of losing what we have, fear that if we just stop for a moment, everything will slip out of our hands. And so, we don't dare to rest, don't dare to let go, don't dare to be at peace. We keep running, keep trying, keep straining. The more we try, the more we feel detached from ourselves. The more we strain, the more life feels like an invisible yoke, gradually tightening around our hearts. The Buddha once taught that the root of suffering comes from greed, anger, and ignorance. Among these three roots of defilement, anxiety often arises from greed and ignorance. Greed for wanting everything our way. Ignorance for not understanding that everything is impermanent. When our minds cling to results, we fear losing them. When we don't clearly see the impermanent nature of life, we try to control everything. But life inherently cannot be fully grasped by anyone. That is the seed of worry. People often say that a little worry, to be cautious and live carefully, is good. But the line between enough worry and too much worry is very thin. Enough worry helps us prepare. Too much worry paralyzes us. Enough worry makes us awake. Too much worry causes sleeplessness. Enough worry helps us act with clarity. Too much worry plunges us into fatigue and self-blame. When worried excessively, the mind is no longer the master, but is controlled by the worry itself. You live in today, but your mind runs to tomorrow. Each present moment is missed because the mind is not present. I remember the story of my old friend, Kang, who, like many young people, was constantly racing through life. He was a good manager, a loving father, but also a man always haunted by the fear of not being enough. He told me that every morning when he woke up, he would immediately check his phone for work, emails, and customer messages, then rush out of the house. His daughter would still be sleeping soundly. Breakfast rarely had laughter, only constant reminders to hurry up or be late. He worked late into the night, often coming home after his daughter was asleep. He thought that in a few years, when his career stabilized, he would have more time for his child. But that day never came. One evening, as he sat in front of his laptop, his daughter sent him a short message. "Daddy, I just need you." He told me that when he read that line, his heart felt squeezed. He silently shut down his laptop and looked out the window. For the first time, he saw how beautiful the night sky was. And for the first time, he realized that worry had made him lose the most precious thing in his life. From that day on, he changed. He no longer rushed through endless projects, no longer worked to the point of forgetting to eat or sleep. He learned to come home earlier, have dinner with his daughter, and ask her about her day. He told me, "Before, I thought I was working for my child, but it turns out she just needed me to be at peace, not a worried dad." He smiled gently, and I saw a serenity in his eyes that hadn't been there before. You see, sometimes we worry because we think we are creating motivation, but in reality, we are chaining ourselves with illusions. Worry doesn't make us stronger. It only narrows our minds, making every small joy seem luxurious. When the mind is bound by anxiety, we can no longer feel life. We only live in memories or imaginations. The Buddha taught that a person whose mind is not present in the moment is no different from a dead person. That is a profound warning. A day passes, and we cannot remember what we did, cannot remember when we smiled, because the mind was not present. We are only living in a shell, while the soul is absent. Worry can start very small, just a fleeting thought. Will I be able to do it tomorrow? Will that person still love me? Will this life be enough for me? But if you don't identify it quickly, that worry grows, filling every space in your heart. It seeps into every breath, every sleep, making you unable to find peace. Then you start trying to do something to control it. You do more, talk more, think more, but the more you do, the more you worry, because you don't understand that the root of worry is not outside, but within the mind itself. The Buddha once taught, "When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace." When your mind is at peace, even difficult tasks become light. When your mind is chaotic, even small matters become big. In truth, life is not as difficult as we think. It's just that our minds are not peaceful enough to see it with clear eyes. If you look deeply, you will see that anxiety is just a cloud. It comes and goes. It is not you. You are the vast and serene sky. But because we identify ourselves with that cloud, we think we are it. And so we suffer. You can try stopping for a moment, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and asking yourself, at this very moment, what is truly making me worry? Sometimes you'll realize that what weighs you down most is not the event itself, but the thoughts about it. It is our own minds that create the storm. So, to let go of worry, there's no need to eliminate everything external. Just turn inward, see the true nature of worry, and smile at it. When you look at worry with mindfulness, it no longer has the power to bind you. A Zen master once said, "When you find yourself worrying, smile, because at least you've realized you are worrying." Just that one step of awareness is enough to open the door to peace. Usually we worry without knowing we are worrying, like a sleepwalker. The less we know, the further we are led astray. But when we know, we are awake. When we are awake, anxiety gradually dissipates, like morning mist meeting the sun. My dear friend, remember that this life is lived only once. If you spend all your time worrying, when will you live? You can worry about tomorrow, but no one can be sure they will still be here tomorrow. So why don't we live fully for this moment with all our hearts, with every breath? Look around. The sky is still blue. Clouds are still floating. Sunshine still filters through the leaves. And you, listening to these words, are still alive, still have the opportunity to gently release unnecessary burdens. I know letting go is not easy, but you can start with small things. Every morning, instead of rushing to check your phone, sit still for a moment, breathe deeply, feel your presence. When working, do your best, but don't let your mind get stuck on the results. When talking to loved ones, listen with all your heart, without judgment, without rushing. When eating, just eat. When walking, just walk. That is mindfulness, and mindfulness is the cure for all worries. The Buddha taught, there is no path to peace. Peace is the path itself. When you live mindfully, you are already walking that path. Don't wait until everything is settled to allow yourself to be at peace. Because life is never perfect. There are always unfinished tasks, unhappy people, unresolved issues. If you wait for peace, you will never find it. Peace must begin right in the midst of imperfections, within your own worries. And then, little by little, you will realize that anxiety doesn't help you live better. It only makes you forget that you once smiled. Slow down so love can be present. Pause for a moment so your mind can catch up with your body. Whenever your mind wants to race ahead, call it back with a breath. A deep, slow, and loving breath. Breathe in, knowing you are breathing in. Breathe out, knowing you are breathing out. Just that much is enough to dispel countless fan now afflictions. You can try it right now with me. Take a deep breath. Exhale slowly. Feel your shoulders relax, your eyes soften. Feel your heart soften. Each breath is a return. Each return is a liberation. Worries don't disappear overnight, but they will gradually fade if you know how to embrace them with understanding. Like a scared child who only needs to be held by its mother to stop crying. Worries are the same. They just need you to recognize and smile at them, and they will gradually dissipate. My friend, life is short. Sometimes we only have time to worry and not enough time to live. Today, as you hear these words, I hope you will pause for a moment. Don't let worries turn life into a prison. Let every day be a real day with a smile, with breath, with love. A day passes that we can't remember what we did because the mind wasn't present. Let today you truly be present in your life. Live as if this is the only day, because who knows, maybe there's only today. My dear friend, in this life, perhaps all of us have experienced days like this. Days where everything feels heavy. Every small thing becomes an annoyance. Everyone around us seems to make us more tired. Sometimes just a word from someone can make our hearts restless. Sometimes no one does anything, yet we still feel uncomfortable, upset, worried. We think it must be because life is harsh, because others are not good, because times are changing, that our hearts are not at peace. But in reality, the root of suffering is not external. It lies within our own minds. The Buddha taught that when the mind is pure, the world is naturally at peace. This means that when the mind is at peace, even if the external situation is turbulent, the heart remains steady, like a calm lake. Life cannot always be calm, nor can it always go our way. There are days of continuous rain, and there are days of scorching sun. Sometimes loved ones leave. Sometimes friends change. Sometimes work isn't satisfactory. Health declines, or a baseless sadness makes us unable to smile. But if we keep seeking peace externally, we will never find it. Because this world is always changing, what comes will also go. People who laugh and talk today may not be with us tomorrow. The vibrant flower today withers tomorrow. Only one thing can bring us peace amidst all changes: a peaceful mind. The Buddha once said, "It is not the situation that causes suffering, but the mind clinging to the situation that causes suffering." When you feel life is uneasy, look back and see if your mind is agitated. When you feel your heart is troubled, is it because you are resisting reality, wanting everything to go your way? People suffer because they always want something to be different, want today to be better, want the other person to understand them more, want the past not to have happened that way. The more we want things to be different, the more we suffer. The more we cling to what we want, the more we fail to see the beauty of what is present. There was an old man in my neighborhood named Ong Sao. He had been retired for many years, his children grown, his home peaceful. From the outside, everyone thought he was blessed, but deep down, he felt empty. He often told his neighbors that when you're old, there's nothing fun anymore. When I was young, I could still work. I felt useful. But now I just stay home and feel meaningless. Every morning, he would go out to the porch, sit, and look at the small road, his eyes distant. He remembered his youth. When he worked, people greeted him with respect. He remembered business trips, joyful meals with many people. He remembered the laughter of colleagues, even lively debates. He thought about the past so much that he forgot the present. Each day passed for him, bland as plain water. One cool morning, Ong Sao went to the backyard. That garden used to be tended by his wife, who planted all sorts of flowers. But after she passed away, he hadn't touched it. Weeds grew wild, flowers withered, dry leaves covered the path. That day, for some reason, he picked up a watering can and walked around the garden. When the water touched the soil, the faint scent of grass rose. He felt his heart soften. He stopped in front of a small cluster of chrysanthemums, looked closely, and suddenly noticed a small bud gently opening among the dry leaves, tiny but bright yellow and round. He bent down to look at it, feeling a tremor in his heart. Then he heard birds singing on the mango branch, the wind brushing through the leaves, the sunlight sparkling through the remaining dewdrops. Suddenly, he smiled, a gentle, light smile, like his own breath. After standing still for a while, he whispered, "It turns out peace has always been here. I just hadn't seen it. He told me that story later, during an afternoon tea. He said, "My whole life I worried about work, about my children, about money, even about retirement, fearing I would lose my value. I thought that only when I gained more would I find peace. But it turns out peace comes when I have less thinking, less comparing, less remembering, less worrying." I looked at him and saw his eyes light up, not like an old, frail man, but like someone who had just found his way home. You see, peace is not far away. It doesn't lie in money, fame, or the praise of others. It lies in every breath, in every moment, when the mind is no longer carried away by delusions. When Aung Sao stopped to look at the flower bud, to listen to the birds, he returned to the present. In that moment, his mind was pure, and so the surroundings became peaceful. The garden was still the same garden, weeds still grew, flowers still withered. But in his eyes, everything was completely different. Because the mind changed, the world changed. The Buddha taught that everything is mind-made. Everything in life comes from the mind. When our minds are uneasy, the world around us also becomes chaotic. When our minds are gentle, even a difficult life becomes more bearable. Some people look at the rain and feel sad, thinking it will get them wet or interrupt their work. But others see rain as an opportunity to rest, to listen to the drops, to drink a warm cup of tea. The scene doesn't change. Only the mind does. When the mind is pure, the scene is naturally peaceful. Perhaps you and I, like Aung Sao, keep searching for peace outside ourselves. We think that just by changing places, changing jobs, changing people, changing circumstances, we will be happy. But no matter where we go, if the mind remains troubled, no situation will bring peace. Some people leave the city for the countryside, but bring their worries with them, so they suffer even in the countryside. Some people think that just by leaving an old relationship, they will be happy. But then, with a new person, the old worries return. Because suffering is not in others, not in circumstances, but in our own uneasy minds. And the Buddha once said, "When the mind is no longer agitated by the winds of delusion, even amidst a storm, that person will smile." That is the power of mindfulness, of awakening. Mindfulness is not about forcing oneself to be at peace, but about recognizing what is present, accepting it, without judgment, without resistance. When you drink water, just know you are drinking water. When you listen, just know you are listening. When you are sad, know you are sad, without trying to suppress it. When you are happy, know you are happy, without trying to cling to it. In this way, each moment passes with clear awareness. That is a pure mind. You can try it now, with me. Sit still for a moment, without trying to do anything. Take a deep breath. Exhale slowly. Feel the cool, fresh air enter your lungs, and then leave as gently as a cloud. Feel your shoulders drop, your eyes soften, your breathing steady. Right now, you are truly alive. All worries, all thoughts about yesterday or tomorrow momentarily subside. You are just here with your breath. That is the moment your mind is pure. The Buddha taught, 1 pure thought, 10,000 thoughts at peace. Just one moment of true peace, and all afflictions will naturally dissipate like mist before the sun. When you live in mindfulness, everything around you seems to change. The sound of the wind is no longer just wind, but a melody. The sunlight is no longer harsh, but a warm blanket. The rain is no longer an annoyance, but a gift from heaven and earth. Life is still the same. Only your way of seeing has changed. My dear friend, I know that this chaotic life sometimes makes you tired. Sometimes you just want to find a quiet place to rest, to breathe a sigh of relief for once. But remember, peace does not lie in where you go, but in where you stop. When your mind stops, even amidst the hustle and bustle of life, you will still find serenity. But if your mind hasn't stopped, even in a monastery, you will still feel troubled. Therefore, instead of running to find peace, return inward to the place where peace has always been, but which you have forgotten. I want you to try this. Every morning when you wake up, before starting a new day, take a minute to thank life. Thank it for still being able to breathe, to see, to live. Then take a deep breath, exhale, and smile gently. Look at the sky. Listen to the birds. Lightly touch your hand. All those small things are the miracles of life. When you see that, your mind will naturally be at peace. The Buddha taught that one who knows contentment is the richest person. When your mind knows contentment, you no longer compare, no longer demand, no longer blame life. You only feel grateful that everything is still happening. Then peace will come very naturally, without needing to be sought or prayed for. Peace is not about having more, but about having fewer delusions. When you think less, worry less, cling less, you will find life much gentler. If there's ever a moment when you feel your heart waver, remember the image of Ong Sao in his backyard garden. When he stood before that small flower bud, he realized that peace was not far away. It was not something you needed to seek, but something you needed to return to. Peace is not a reward for someone who achieves something, but a natural state when you return to yourself. Let your every day be a garden, every breath a refreshing drop of water, every smile a blooming flower. Whenever your mind is at peace, you will see that life itself is gentle. Even if there are storms outside, your heart will be like a clear lake. That is when the mind is at peace. The environment is naturally at peace. And now, before concluding this part, I invite you to take a deep breath, exhale gently, and then smile. Can you hear it? The wind outside, your own heartbeat, the sound of life flowing through every cell. That is a reminder that you are still alive, still have the opportunity to be at peace, to love, to be grateful. Peace is not far away. It is right here within you, in your breath, in every mindful moment. When your mind is at peace, everything is at peace. When your mind is clear, life is clear. So don't look for peace anywhere else, my friend. Come back. Because only when you return will you truly see that everything you have been searching for all this time has always been in your heart. In this life, there are things we try our best to hold on to, but cannot. There are people we love dearly, but must let go of. And there are situations, no matter how much we worry, that we cannot change. People often assume that if they worry a lot, think a lot, and meticulously arrange everything, things will go their way. But the more we worry, the more tangled we become. The more we fear losing, the more we lose ourselves. The more we try to control, the more life slips through our fingers. This is a paradox that almost all of us experience. Have you noticed? Often, we don't truly suffer because of what is happening, but because our minds want things to be different. We cannot bear it when others don't understand us, when results are not as desired, when life doesn't follow our plans. And so, we worry. We worry to the point of forgetting to eat and sleep, worrying until we are exhausted, physically and mentally, worrying so much that we no longer know what we are living for. But, my friend, worry doesn't make life better. It only makes our hearts more weary. Someone asked me, if I don't worry, how can I live? How can I strive? How can I move forward? That's a very real question, and I believe you've thought the same thing. But worry is not synonymous with responsibility, not synonymous with effort. Worry is when we let our minds run ahead of the present, while responsibility is when we are fully present in everything we do. Letting go of worry is not giving up, but knowing when to stop, knowing how to accept what we cannot change, and finding peace in life's very imperfections. I remember once reading a teaching by the Buddha. No one can save anyone from suffering. Each person must save themselves by looking deeply into their own mind. When we look back, we will see that the root of all anxiety lies in craving. We want something to be different. We want the future to go our way. We want the past not to have happened that way. But life does not operate according to our cravings. Life operates according to karmic conditions, according to the natural laws of all things. Letting go of worry, therefore, is not about neglecting things, but about living in harmony with circumstances without forced desires. Many people fear that if they let go, everything will fall apart. But in reality, when you let go, what truly belongs to you has the chance to stay. Think about it. When your hand grasps too tightly, even grains of sand will slip out. But when you open your palm, the sand remains still. Life is the same. The more you try to hold on, the more tired you become. The more you let go, the lighter you feel. I want to tell you a story about a girl named Mai. That year, Mai failed her university entrance exam. It was just a small setback, but for a young girl, it felt like a complete collapse. For months, Mai lived with a sense of inferiority. She feared her friends would mock her, feared her parents would be disappointed, feared her future was over. Every morning when she woke up, Mai felt a heavy heart. She had no interest in anything anymore. She felt useless, like a failure, and left behind. One evening, as Mai sat in her room, her mother quietly entered. She didn't blame, didn't say much, just sat down beside her daughter. After a while, she gently said, "My dear, you didn't fail. You're just taking a slightly slower path. If the time isn't right, just let it come. What is yours will eventually return." Mai's tears welled up. From her mother's words, she realized that all this time she hadn't suffered because she failed, but because she couldn't accept it. She worried, but that fear didn't make her better. It only made her forget that she still had opportunities, still had other paths to take. A year later, Mai chose to study baking. From her first batches of cakes, she rediscovered joy in her work. After a few years, Mai opened a small shop, living a simple, peaceful, and happy life. Once, when she met an old friend, they asked in surprise, "Mai, don't you regret not going to college?" Mai smiled gently and replied, "No. If I hadn't failed that year, perhaps I wouldn't have found myself." You see, sometimes the very things we fear losing are the things we need to lose to learn to let go. Letting go is not giving up on a dream, but pausing to see more clearly what we truly need. Just as when the sky is full of clouds, we cannot see the light. But when the wind blows and the clouds disperse, the sun has always been there. Peace is the same. It has never left us. It's just that we are too busy worrying to see it. The Buddha once taught that letting go is not losing, but regaining freedom. When your mind is no longer bound by fear, you will find life surprisingly light. A person who knows how to let go has learned the greatest lesson in life, the lesson of freedom. Because a free person is not someone who has everything, but someone who is not bound by anything. You know what? There's a truth that we largely worry about things that haven't happened. The mind constantly races to the future, while the body remains in the present. That's why we always feel uneasy. The Buddha taught that all suffering arises from delusion. This means from unreal thoughts, fears we imagine ourselves. The more we think, the more we suffer. The more we worry, the more we lose clarity. If one day you feel a heavy heart, stop, take a deep breath, exhale slowly, and ask yourself, can I change this? If yes, act. If no, let go. That is the wisdom of life. A wise person doesn't let their mind be led by anxiety, but lets mindfulness illuminate their every step. Try to see how many times in your life you worried, and things still went where they were going to go. How many times you feared losing someone, only to finally realize that the person who truly needed to be by your side was yourself. Worry has never been a solution. It is just a habit of the mind, a habit that can be released if you are willing to turn inward. A person who knows how to live in the present is the freest person. They are not bound by the past, nor are they pulled by the future. They simply take a deep breath and smile. You can try it right now. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Feel the breath pass through your nose, through your chest. Exhale. Relax your shoulders. Release even the worries in your heart. Just one breath. But if you put all your attention into it, you will feel lighter. Letting go does not mean not caring, but caring in the right way. Not being overbearing, not forcing, not getting lost in what is beyond reach. Like a river that doesn't hold back the leaves that have drifted away, but still flows refreshingly, still continues to flow to the sea. A person who knows how to let go is a person who knows how to flow, knows how to live in harmony with karmic conditions, without resisting adversity. In Zen, there is a saying, when the mind is pure, the environment is pure. When your mind is at peace, even if there is a storm outside, you remain calm. When your mind is disturbed, even if the environment is peaceful, your heart is not at peace. Therefore, the root of peace is not in circumstances, but in your mind. When you learn to let go, you are learning to be at peace. You can start with small things, Let go of trying to please everyone. Let go of trying to understand others when they don't want to be understood. Let go of straining to prove you are strong. Allow yourself to be weak, to be tired, to stop. Sometimes it is only when we stop that we truly move forward. I want you to remember this. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is knowing your limits and respecting them. When you know how to let go, you are choosing to love yourself in the deepest way, because only those who dare to let go can truly be free. If today you are carrying worries in your heart, I hope you will sit down for a moment. Don't try to solve them immediately. Take a breath. Look back at yourself. Look back at life. Perhaps you will realize that the worry is not as scary as you thought. Perhaps you will find that you still have much to be grateful for. The sun still rises, flowers still bloom, birds still sing, and you are still alive. That is enough. Life is lived only once. Don't let worries obscure the beauty of this moment. Learn to let go, but don't give up. Let go to live lighter, not to escape. Let go to love more deeply, not to be indifferent. Let go to be free, not to get lost. Finally, I just want to tell you a simple truth. You cannot stop the wind, but you can learn to stand firm in the wind. The wind outside still blows. Life still changes. But if your mind is firm, no wind can sweep you away. Steadfast, yet gentle, serene, yet resolute. That is the art of letting go. Let go of worry to truly live. Let go of fear to feel lighthearted. Let go of the past to see the present as the most precious gift. And letting go is the first step to freedom. I believe when you understand this, you will no longer be afraid, because you will know how to live fully. Even if it's just for one breath, it's still a life worth living. Have you ever suddenly realized that your whole life you've known how to love others, but forgotten how to love yourself? We worry about our parents, our children, our work, our relationships, even things that have nothing to do with us. Every morning, we open our eyes, and the first thing that comes to mind is how many things need to be done today, how many people need us, how many things are unfinished. And then, amidst that hurried pace of life, we suddenly lose ourselves somewhere without even realizing it. I understand that feeling of being tired and worried, wanting to let go, but unable to. Because deep down, we fear disappointing others, fear being seen as weak, fear not being good enough, fear being left behind. So we try a little harder, endure a little more, silently sacrifice without saying anything. And gradually, we become someone who cares for everyone, except ourselves. Are you tired? Have you ever lain down at night and tears flowed? Because you were so exhausted, but still had to smile to be strong again tomorrow. The Buddha once taught that if you don't know how to love yourself, how can you truly love others with a sincere heart? Love doesn't start from the outside. It starts from within us, where we know how to cherish every breath, how to listen to the voice of our body and mind, and know that we also deserve to be loved, to rest, to be at peace. Loving yourself is not selfishness. Loving yourself is knowing how to give your soul a sanctuary. It's when you pause in the hurried pace of life to ask yourself if you're okay. It's when you know how to say no to things that hurt you, know how to let go of unnecessary tasks, know how to be gentle with your own mistakes. You know, I've met many people who always say, "I'm used to it, I'm fine." But in their eyes, countless unspoken things are hidden. Some people forget themselves for their family. Some forget their health for work. Some lose their joy in life trying to please others. In a conversation at a small temple in the mountains, I met Huang, a young teacher in the highlands. Her story stayed with me. Huang was born in the lowlands, graduated from pedagogical college, and then volunteered to teach in a remote, mountainous area. There, everything was scarce. Electricity flickered, water had to be carried from the stream, the dirt roads were muddy. Her students, many of them barefoot and in torn clothes, sometimes only had a sweet potato in their bags. She loved them dearly and poured her heart into her work. During the day, she taught letters. In the evening, she tutored weak students, and on weekends, she encouraged villagers to send their children to school. Many nights, she would sit under the oil lamp, grading papers until late, forgetting to eat and sleep. Time passed, and Huang always smiled at everyone. Everyone who met her said, "Teacher Huang is so gentle. She loves her students so much." But no one knew that some nights she would sit alone, looking out at the distant mountains, feeling an unusual emptiness in her heart. She missed home, her parents, her friends, but dared not complain, because she feared that if she complained, everyone would worry. She feared others would think she was weak. She tried so hard that one day, in the middle of a lesson, she fainted in class. When she woke up, she saw her young students sitting around her. A little girl, about 8 years old, held her hand, placed Huang's hand on her own chest, and said, "Teacher, you must love yourself too." Those simple words were like an arrow shot straight into her heart. She burst into tears, crying non-stop. After that day, Huang changed. She still taught, still loved her students, but she began to learn how to take care of herself. She practiced sitting still for a few minutes each morning to breathe, to feel that she was still alive, still present. She learned to rest when she was tired, to say thank you when helped, to forgive her own shortcomings. And strangely enough, from the moment she learned to love herself more, she loved others even more deeply. Her love was no longer exhausted sacrifice, but a complete, gentle, tireless giving. When recounting that story, Huang said, "I realized that loving myself is not selfishness, but knowing how to give my soul a sanctuary, so that when the winds of life blow, I can still stand firm." Her words reminded me of a teaching of the Buddha in the Anguttara Nikaya. One is one's own refuge. Who else can be the refuge? The Buddha did not teach us to only think of ourselves, but he taught that only when we truly understand, accept, and love ourselves can that love spread outward, becoming true compassion. Don't you see? When we are tired, we easily get angry. When we are hurt, we easily hurt others. When we feel lacking internally, it's hard to give wholeheartedly. Therefore, loving yourself is not about closing your heart, but about nurturing healthy energy within, helping us to be full enough to give. In mindfulness, loving yourself begins with very small things. It's when you pause during a stressful workday, take a deep breath, and ask yourself how you're feeling. It's when you forgive yourself for being weak, for making wrong choices, for not being good enough. It's when you place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat steadily, and whisper, breathing in, I am alive. Breathing out, I am grateful. In that moment, you are returning to yourself. No one else is needed. No other conditions are needed. Just you, your breath, and life happening. The Buddha taught that the human mind is like a lake. When the winds of anxiety, fear, and craving stir up, the lake becomes agitated, preventing us from seeing its bottom. But when we learn to settle down, to love ourselves, to forgive ourselves, the lake returns to calm, and we see its bright and clear nature. The human mind is also like that. It is inherently bright and clear, only covered by layers of dust from fears, expectations, and worries. I know that in life, it's not easy to immediately let go of all pressures and love ourselves. But you can start with a small action. Every morning, when you open your eyes, don't rush to pick up your phone. Don't rush to think about work. Take a deep breath. Feel the warmth of your blanket, of the air. And then say to yourself, today I will be gentle with myself. That statement is like a promise, like a small miracle. Then, during the day, when you are tired, allow yourself to rest a little. When you are sad, sit quietly to acknowledge that emotion. When you fail, embrace yourself in your thoughts and say, it's okay, I tried my best. That is meditation in daily life, not sitting still for hours, but knowing how to return to the present, knowing how to listen and accept yourself. A truly serene person is not someone who never encounters suffering, but someone who knows how to embrace that suffering with gentleness. Just as when you see a child crying, you don't scold them or tell them to stop crying, but you hug them, comfort them, and stroke them. It is that embrace that makes the child stop crying. Our minds are like that child. They need to be loved, not forced. Some people say, I don't have time to love myself. But you know what? It's precisely when you don't have time to love yourself that you need it most. Like a dry tree needing water, a weary heart needs calming. Loving yourself doesn't take time. It just needs a moment when you stop and are truly present. A Zen master once said, when you walk mindfully, each step is already healing. As long as you truly live in each moment, without judgment, without comparison, then naturally all worries will lighten. Loving yourself is a journey, not a task done in a day or two. Sometimes today you succeed. Tomorrow you forget. Sometimes you find it easy. Sometimes you find it difficult. But that's okay. The important thing is that you know how to return. Each return is a little more cleansing for the mind. You can try a small practice with me. Right now, if you are listening, gently place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and inhale deeply. Feel the air entering your lungs, expanding. Then exhale very slowly. When you inhale, silently say, I am alive. When you exhale, say, I am grateful. Repeat a few times. Each breath is a reminder that you are still present, and you deserve this peace. Feel it. The warmth from your palm spreading to your chest. That is your heart, working tirelessly for you. Whether you notice it or not, each beat is a message of life. You are here. You still have the opportunity to love, to live, to forgive, to start over. You see, loving yourself is not about doing something grand. Sometimes it's just allowing yourself to rest, to be weak, to slow down a little. Because this life is lived only once. If you don't learn to be gentle with yourself, you will forever live in the whirlwind of shoulds and musts and forget the most important thing, truly living. The Buddha taught that the mind is like the earth. It does not choose. It does not reject. It simply embraces all. When we know how to love ourselves, we are also learning to become like the earth, embracing all things in life, both happiness and suffering, without self-blame or self-hatred. Huang, the teacher in the highlands, still lives in that small school by the mountainside. She still teaches the children, still cares for them in every way, but her face is different, more peaceful, more radiant. Whenever she's tired, she sits on the steps, gazing at the distant forest, closing her eyes and breathing. The little students run over, sit beside her, and breathe with her. In that moment, perhaps all of them understand one thing. Loving oneself is the most beautiful way to love life. My friend, life is inherently short. We don't know how much time we have left to live, to love, to smile. So don't wait until you're exhausted to know how to stop. Don't wait until you experience loss to know how to cherish. Start loving yourself today. Love yourself by going to bed a little earlier. Love yourself by speaking kind words to yourself every morning. Love yourself by forgiving the past. Love yourself by stopping to breathe when you're tired. Because you, too, deserve peace, like anyone else in this world. And when you truly know how to love yourself, you will find it miraculous. All worries will gradually dissipate. All pressures will become lighter. Because your mind has softened, it no longer rigidly bears burdens. You become gentler, calmer, happier. Loving yourself is an act of wisdom, not selfishness. Because one who knows how to love themselves will know how to preserve their body and mind, will not do evil, will not cause suffering to others. One who loves themselves will naturally know how to live wholesome, how to let go, how to listen. And that is the path of the Buddha, the path of compassion and wisdom. If today you are hearing these words and you feel weary, I hope you will place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Whisper to yourself, I deserve to be loved. Let those words penetrate every cell, every breath. That is the beginning of healing. You don't need to become anyone else. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be strong forever. Just be true to yourself. That's enough. When you love yourself, you will realize that the world around you also becomes gentler, because all phenomena are mind-made. When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. I want to tell you one thing. We only live once in this life. Don't let worries and fears make us forget the true meaning of life. Live fully, with gratitude and gentleness toward yourself, toward others, toward this entire life. Stop worrying, my friend. Start with a breath, a smile, a moment of realizing that you are still here, still have the opportunity to love yourself. And from there, everything else will become peaceful. Have you ever felt so tired that you just wanted to sit still, not speak, not think, not try anymore? There are days when life is like an endless rain shower. Work, family, responsibilities, unfinished tasks, displeased people, all merge into a heavy lump in your heart. You try to move forward, but each step feels like wading through mud. Your mind cannot lighten. Your heart finds no peace. I know that feeling isn't unique to you. Almost everyone in this life has experienced it. Because we are born into a turbulent world, it's hard to avoid the hidden currents in our minds. Yet the Buddha once taught, when the mind is at peace, all situations are at peace. When the mind is chaotic, situations also become chaotic. But most of the time, we keep seeking peace outside ourselves. We think that when we have enough money, enough fame, enough loved ones, enough recognition, our hearts will be at peace. But the further we go, the further we stray, the harder we try to find it, the more tangled our minds become. There's a story that warms and deeply moves me every time I recall it. It's the story of An, a woman whom I believe you will see a reflection of yourself in. An was a successful person. At 40, she was the director of a large company with a beautiful house, luxury car, and respected employees. Everyone who looked at her admired her. But few knew that every night she lay awake, and every morning when she woke up, her heart felt as if it had just survived a storm. She worried about work deadlines, about dissatisfied clients, about her children misbehaving, about her husband not understanding. Some nights, she would stare at the ceiling and feel like she was falling into an empty void. She asked herself, I have everything, so why do I still feel so empty? One day, her company faced a crisis. A large contract was canceled, employees were in disarray, and shareholders were critical. Anne felt like she was standing in the eye of the storm, with no strength left to think. That day, it rained heavily. She returned home earlier than usual, put her phone aside, and sat by the window, looking out. Rain fell steadily on the tin roof, on the leaves, each drop touching the ground as if keeping rhythm. At first, her mind was still troubled. But then, as she looked longer, listened more carefully, she suddenly realized the sound of the rain was so gentle. The sound of the falling rain seemed to wash away all her fatigue. At that moment, she didn't know why. She just took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and a miracle happened. For the first time in many years, she felt at peace. Not because someone comforted her, not because anything external had changed, but simply because, in that moment, she stopped. She stopped all thoughts, all attempts to control, all worries about what was yet to come. In the sound of the rain, she heard only her own breath. That breath had never been noticed by her before. It was always there, but she had never truly lived with it. Every day, she just chased after fame, trying to become the best version society expected, forgetting that she herself also needed to live, to breathe, to slow down. She sat still, and in that moment, a thought suddenly came. I've never truly lived. That moment, was a moment of awakening. No need to go to high mountains, no need to seek out grand temples. Peace found her right in her small room, in the sound of the rain, and in her breath. The Buddha taught that when the mind is pure, wisdom shines. When the mind is calm, truth reveals itself. And understood that all this time she had been searching for peace outside. But in reality, peace had never left her. It had only been obscured by worries, demands, and fears that she herself had nurtured. Have you ever been like An? Worried that if you stop, everything will collapse. Worried that if you don't try hard enough, others will surpass you. Worried that if you don't control, life will go in the wrong direction. But in reality, most of what we fear exists only in our imagination. The Buddha once said, "All suffering arises from delusions. Delusions are things we imagine and then believe to be real." We worry about a future that hasn't arrived. We suffer over a past that is gone. We trap ourselves in a swirl of fear and forget that the present is where life is happening. When An began to learn to sit still, she saw that everything around her was still the same. Work was still difficult. Others might still misunderstand her. Life still had its challenges, but her mind had changed. She no longer reacted violently to everything, no longer wanted to compete, no longer felt burdened by her mistakes. She started waking up earlier, brewing a cup of tea, and watching the sunrise. Every time it rained, she would smile, remembering that afternoon, the afternoon when she found herself in the sound of the rain. The Buddha taught, "If you want peace, return to yourself." We keep searching, not knowing that peace is not far away. It is right there in every breath. In every moment, you are truly present with life. When you wash dishes and know you are washing dishes. When you listen to the rain and know you are listening to the rain. When you breathe and know you are breathing. That moment is a moment of peace. A Zen master once said, "Sitting still is not doing nothing. It is doing the deepest thing, which is returning to oneself." I think that's very true. Society now constantly makes us run. Running to make a living, running to prove ourselves, running not to be left behind. But the more we run, the further we get from ourselves. The more we worry, the more tired our minds become. And when the mind is tired, even if we are in a luxurious place, our hearts feel like a dry desert. My dear friend, have you ever tried stopping for a moment, just to listen to the rain outside the window, or just to feel the gentle breeze on your skin, the bird song in the morning, the faint scent of coffee? These things are small, but they hold boundless healing power, because in that moment, your mind isn't going anywhere else. It returns, and when the mind returns, peace is present. The ancients said, "When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace." Peace does not come from how much we possess, but from how many delusions we shed. It's not about having a lot to be enough, but about knowing when to stop. Just as flowers bloom and wither, rain comes and goes. Life is impermanent, but the mind can be at peace. I want to share with you a passage from a sutra that I love very much. The Buddha once taught his disciples that, like a person rowing a boat in a swift current, if they know how to keep their mind calm, the boat can still pass through the waves. But if the mind is panicked, the boat easily sinks. Life is the same. Storms cannot be avoided. But if our minds are at peace, we will not be swept away. So how can we be at peace? The Buddha taught, just return to the breath. Breathe in, knowing you are breathing in. Breathe out, knowing you are breathing out. Each breath is a smile. Each conscious moment is a step home. Try it once, my friend. Sit still, close your eyes, inhale deeply, exhale very slowly. Feel the air pass through your nostrils, down to your lungs, and then dissipate throughout your body. At that moment, you will see that peace has never left. It has always been within you. You just forgot how to touch it. And shared that since she began practicing mindfulness, she sleeps better, laughs more, and loves more. She no longer fears what's yet to come. She said, peace is not the absence of storms, but having a place in the heart to return to amidst the storm. That saying makes me think deeply. In reality, peace is when we no longer have to run away from this life, when we can sit amidst the noise and still find a quiet corner in our minds. It's when we can smile even when it's raining outside. Life is lived only once. My friend, don't let worries steal the present moment. Don't wait until everything is perfect to allow yourself to be at peace. Because the truth is, there's never a right time for peace. Peace only exists when you accept, when you let go. I want you to try this tonight. When you're tired, don't try to think. Sit by the window, turn off your phone, and let your mind be empty. If it's raining, listen to the rain. If not, listen to your own breath. Just that much, and you will feel lighter. The burdens won't disappear, but your mind will be different. You will no longer be pulled by them. You will find that you can still smile, still love, still thank this life for still being alive. The Buddha taught that the present moment is the most important moment, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but only now. If you are at peace now, tomorrow will naturally be peaceful. If you are grateful now, blessings are sown. Peace is not on high mountains or in grand temples. Peace is not something distant. It lies in every breath, in a gentle gaze, in a morning cup of tea, in the embrace of a loved one. Peace is when you are mindful enough to realize that you are alive and grateful enough for that. My friend, life is truly short. We cannot know what tomorrow will bring. Perhaps today is full of worries, but who knows? Tomorrow might be a beautiful sunny morning. So don't wait for peace. Start living peacefully right now, with your breath, with a smile, with gratitude. Have you ever felt that life today moves too fast? Every morning when you wake up, you open your eyes and find yourself caught up in a cascade of things to do. The phone rings, messages await, work piles up. We eat in a hurry, walk in a hurry, speak in a hurry, and sometimes even love in a hurry. Modern life makes people more capable, faster, but also makes the heart easily lost. Sometimes you might feel like you are chasing something without knowing where the destination is. When you stop, you suddenly feel a vast emptiness in your heart. That emptiness isn't because you lack material things, but because you've forgotten to listen to yourself. I know sometimes we fear slowing down. We fear that if we slow down, others will surpass us. We fear that if we rest, everything will slip through our fingers. But my friend, it is precisely because of fear that we get tired, precisely because we want more that we worry. And precisely because we don't stop, that we never truly have the chance to live. The Buddha once taught, when walking, just know you are walking. When sitting, just know you are sitting. When eating, just know you are eating. A person who can live like that is truly alive. It sounds simple, but how many of us can do that? I once met a person who taught me a profound lesson about living slowly. His name was Ong Ba. In his youth, Ong Ba was a very successful merchant. He worked from morning until night, so busy that he often had to eat quickly in the marketplace. People said he had a golden touch. Everything he did succeeded. But because of this, he never knew the meaning of rest. His whole life, he only knew how to work, save, worry, and race against time. It wasn't until his health began to decline that he was forced to stop. When he retired, he found it strange. Every morning, there were no more phone calls, no more delivery trucks. No one needed him anymore. At first, he felt empty, as if abandoned in his own life. He tried to find joy in television, in meeting friends, but his heart still felt a lack. One day, he casually brewed a cup of tea and sat on his porch. The morning sky was clear, and there was a gentle bird song. He sat silently, holding the hot teacup, watching the steam rise. The tea aroma was faint, the wind caressed, and the sunlight sparkled on each leaf. And in that moment, he realized something. It had been a long time since he had lived so slowly. Day after day, he maintained that habit. Every morning he brewed tea, sat listening to birds sing, inhaling and exhaling very slowly. His neighbors, seeing him like this, asked in surprise, "Ong Ba, you're retired, but you sit and drink tea every day. Don't you get bored?" He smiled gently. "Before, I lived too fast. Now I know that living slowly is the happiest." That statement, though simple, was the essence of a whole lifetime. You see, sometimes happiness is not far away. It lies in a cup of tea, in a quiet morning, in a gentle bird song, in a peaceful breath. But we often miss it because we run too fast. We can't hear our own hearts because our minds are always full of noise. When the mind is not at peace, we cannot see life's beauty. When the mind is chaotic, all scenes are disturbed. The Buddha taught that dwelling in the present is the foundation of peace. Living slowly does not mean giving up, does not mean being lazy, but knowing how to return to oneself. When we live slowly, we allow the mind space to breathe, to be aware, to listen. Living slowly is a journey of mindfulness, a journey where in every step, every breath, we are fully present. Ong Ba recounted that when he sat still every morning, at first, his mind was still full of voices. "How much I used to do. Now no one remembers me anymore." But then, through each morning, those voices gradually faded, replaced by the sound of the wind, the leaves, the birds, and even his own heartbeat. He said, "For the first time, I heard my own heart. I felt so much lighter, no longer having to try to be someone, no longer having to prove anything. I was just me, sitting there, breathing, drinking tea, and finding life wonderfully lovely." Hearing him speak, I remembered the teaching in the Dhammapada. There is no path to peace. Peace is the path itself. We don't need to go far to find happiness. Happiness is when we can stop and realize that this very moment, as we are breathing, as we are present, is already a miracle. My dear friend, living slowly is an art. In this world, everyone is in a hurry. People run to earn money, to achieve goals, to surpass others. But then, does anyone ask themselves why they are running? How far is enough? Perhaps only when we stop can we truly see the path we are on. Living slowly does not mean abandoning modern life. You can still work, still make a living, but in every action, you can add a breath of awareness. When eating, truly eat. When working, work with your whole heart. When speaking, speak with sincerity. When loving, let your heart be present. That is meditation in daily life. The Buddha taught that sitting still can also transform life. Because when the mind is pure, the energy of mindfulness spreads. And from there, everything in life gradually changes. I want you to try imagining a morning. Instead of rushing to open your phone, you sit still for a few minutes. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale very slowly. Feel the air passing through your lungs. Feel life flowing within you. Perhaps, at first, you will find it difficult because your mind is not used to it. But with just a few minutes each day, you will start to feel different. You will feel your mind soften, the voice in your head quieter, and your heart more at peace. When you live slowly, you will notice many things you never paid attention to before. You will see how dew glistens on leaves, how pleasant the smell of earth is after a rain, how precious a loved one's smile is. Living slowly is living deeply. It is allowing each moment to pass meaningfully. The Buddha once taught that one who lives in mindfulness is like a lotus flower growing in mud, unpolluted. In this life, you cannot avoid all suffering, but you can choose how to live. When your mind slows down, the world also becomes gentler. You are no longer swept away by anger, no longer caught in the spiral of comparison, no longer pulled by noise. You begin to clearly see that peace does not come from controlling everything, but from knowing how to let go and how to stop. Someone once asked me, if everyone lived slowly, where would society go? I smiled. Living slowly is not stopping progress, but progressing with awareness. People who live slowly are not lazy. They know what is truly important. They don't waste energy on competition, but dedicate that energy to being present and mindful. When you live this way, even if your steps are slow, each step is firm. You see? Ong Ba didn't need to do anything grand. Just sitting peacefully with a cup of tea, his mind became light as the wind. Meanwhile, how many times have we traveled far, shopped a lot, sought out new places, hoping to find happiness, only to still feel empty? Because true happiness is not out there. It is right within you, in the presence of your mind. If today you feel tired, allow yourself to stop for a moment. No need to go anywhere, no need to do anything. Just sit still and listen to your heart. Perhaps you will hear worries, fears, things yet to settle. But just let them appear. Breathe and smile at them. That is the wisdom of the Buddha, facing without fear, listening without judgment. I believe that when you practice living slowly, you will notice a miraculous change. You will find yourself gentler with others, more patient with yourself, and more appreciative of every small moment. Because when your mind slows down, your heart opens. When your heart opens, compassion naturally arises. And when compassion arises, suffering naturally dissipates. Finally, my friend, living slowly is not a luxury choice. It is a way for you to live truly. When you sit still and listen to your heart, you will find many beautiful things still within you. Gratitude, love, faith, and peace. Life is short. Running fast or slow, we all end up in the same place. But those who know how to live slowly will smile when they arrive there, because they have truly lived. So today, when the sun rises, brew yourself a cup of tea. Sit quietly on the porch, watching the sunlight stream through the leaves. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Listen to what your heart is saying. Who knows? You might hear the answer you've been searching for all this time. Who knows? You might realize that peace has never left you. It's just waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. Life is lived only once. Don't rush anymore, my friend. Slow down to see that you are still alive. Slow down to love more deeply. Slow down to listen to your heart and return to yourself. When your mind is at peace, no matter how many changes happen outside, you will still feel serene, like a warm cup of morning tea. And that is the miracle of meditation, of awakening, of a slow yet profound life. Have you ever heard someone say, "Let go to lighten your heart"? But then, when faced with loss, with hurt, with things you were deeply attached to, you realized that letting go is not easy. Because letting go is not abandoning. It's not indifference, but learning to accept what you cannot change. It's an art of courage, not weakness. There are pains in life that only when we dare to let go can we truly live. I know you've had sleepless nights, lying silently, your heart full of unanswered questions. Why me? Why did things happen this way? Why did I try so hard, yet things didn't go my way? We cling to what was familiar, even knowing it hurts us. We fear loss, fear change, fear a future that is no longer the same. And in that fear, we lose ourselves. The Buddha taught that the root of suffering is attachment. We suffer not because of what happened, but because we cannot accept that it happened. Letting go is when we look at reality with awakened eyes, clearly seeing that everything is impermanent. People can come and go. Wealth can be gained and lost. This body is only borrowed temporarily. This breath will also eventually dissipate into emptiness. Realizing this is not to be pessimistic, but to live more deeply, love more, and cherish the present more. Because when we know that everything can be lost, we will learn to live each moment to the fullest. I want to tell you the story of Ba Hua, the mother of a child with a severe illness. She was once a strong, resilient woman whose whole life revolved around caring for her child. But when she received the news that her only child was critically ill, she felt shattered. Throughout those months, she lived in fear, anxious every hour. Every time her child coughed, her heart tightened. Every time her child weakened, she felt a part of her breath vanish. Her worry grew so much that she no longer had the strength to smile at her child. One day, the doctor looked at her gently and said, "Ma'am, there are some things we cannot change. You cannot save your child with tears or fear. The only thing you can do is love your child fully every day they are still with you. Let your child live in love, not in tears. Those words were like a knife, yet they opened a door in her heart. That afternoon, she sat beside her child's bed, sunlight filtering through the window onto the small face of the boy. Her child was sleeping, his breath weak but peaceful. For the first time in months, she didn't cry. She just sat quietly, looking at her child, smiling, and holding his small hand. In that moment, she realized she had forgotten how to live. She had been chasing fear, forgetting that happiness was still present right there in her child's breath, in that peaceful smile. From that day on, Bahua no longer lived in anxiety. Every morning, she cooked her child a bowl of porridge, singing as she cooked. She told fairy tales, laughed more, and occasionally meditated with her child. The boy said, "Mommy, I like it when you smile." She simply replied, "Mommy likes it too, my dear." Their lives continued. The illness remained. The difficulties were still there. But what changed was her mind. When the boy passed away, she did not wail as everyone expected. She simply sat still, like the skipa, and said, "You taught me how to live every moment fully. Thank you, my child." In her eyes, there was no longer despair, only serenity. People called her brave, but she said, "I am not brave. I just learned how to let go." When you let go, your heart feels light as a cloud. Letting go means not forgetting, but accepting with love. It's when you can look back at a memory without pain. It's when you understand that the person who hurt you also helped you grow. It's when you know that no one can hold on to anything forever, not even themselves. The Buddha taught that all compounded phenomena are impermanent. When born, there is the seed of destruction. When beginning, there is the sign of an end. It sounds sad, but in reality, it is a door opening to freedom. Because when we understand impermanence, we no longer fear loss, no longer try to hold on. We only know how to live fully, love wholeheartedly, and then smile when we have to let go. Have you ever seen a falling leaf? When it leaves the branch, it doesn't struggle, doesn't complain. It just gently twirls in the wind and lands on the ground, becoming part of Mother Earth. That is letting go. That is aligning with circumstances, accepting the natural cycle of the universe. In life, everyone will at some point have to learn to let go. Let go of a relationship. Let go of an unfulfilled dream. Let go of a loved one who has passed away. Or let go of a past that cannot be changed. But letting go doesn't mean stopping love. It means loving enough. Then stopping. Allowing both to be free. Many people think letting go is losing. But in reality, letting go is gaining. Gaining peace. Gaining return. When we stop clinging, we see our hearts open. Just as a tightly clenched hand can only receive something new when it lets go. Just as when we stop stirring the water, the lake surface becomes still and reflects the sky. A peaceful mind means a peaceful life. A steady heart means a steady life. If the mind is not at peace, even if one stands amidst wealth, the heart remains chaotic. But if the mind is at peace, even sitting amidst a storm, one can smile. So the important thing is not how much we have, but whether we are at peace with what we have. If there's ever a moment you feel you're about to collapse, try sitting still, breathing deeply, placing your hand on your chest and saying, "Everything will pass," gently. But say it with all your heart. That's not self-reassurance, but awakening the inherent peace within you. The Buddha said, "Within each person are the seeds of enlightenment." Just stop and look deeply, and you will see that letting go is a journey back to oneself. It is pausing in the hurried flow of life to listen to what your heart is saying. When you listen long enough, you will see that all worries, all suffering, are just fleeting waves. At the deep bottom of the mind, there is still a pool of still water. That water is your true nature, pure, peaceful, undisturbed by life. Practice slowing down a little. Every morning before getting out of bed, take a deep breath. Exhale slowly. Feel the breath going in and out. Feel the light filtering through the window. Hear the birds singing, the wind gently blowing. That is letting go. Letting go of the calculations before the new day even begins. Letting go of the pressure to be perfect. Letting go is also forgiving. Forgiving others and forgiving yourself. Many people hurt because they keep blaming themselves, keep dwelling on mistakes, keep failing to do better. But, my friend, the Buddha taught that no one can walk on the path of enlightenment if they still blame themselves. Forgiveness is not forgetting mistakes, but accepting that the past has passed. We just need to learn the lesson and move on. I once heard a Zen master say, "Letting go is not losing. It is returning. Returning to oneself, to the inherently peaceful nature of the mind. When we no longer struggle to change what cannot be changed, we have time to live more deeply, breathe more deeply, love more deeply. If today you are carrying some pain, some unhealed wound in your heart, I hope you will give yourself a chance to let go. No need to force it, no need to rush. Just slow down a little, breathe, and smile. Even just a fleeting moment of serenity is enough for you to see that this life is still beautiful. Bahua once said, "When I stopped worrying about my child being lost, I truly saw how beautiful he was." Perhaps it's the same way. When you stop fearing what you will lose, you will see how precious what you have is. Stop worrying, my friend, because life is lived only once. Every day that passes is a day that won't return. Spend that time loving, living genuinely, being grateful. I hope that in this moment, as you hear these words, your heart can soften a little. Even just a little is enough to realize that peace has never been far away. It is still here, in this breath, in your heart, just waiting for you to let go to return. Letting go is courage, is freedom, is love. And when you learn to let go, you will see that nothing is truly lost. Everything is just returning to its rightful place. And you, finally, return to yourself, the place where peace has never left you for a second. My dear friend, if at this moment you are sitting alone in a quiet room, with only the sound of the wind outside and your own slow breath, I want you to stop for a moment. Inhale deeply, then exhale very slowly. Feel how many things are making you tired, how many worries are piling up in your heart. In this life, everyone seems to be worrying. The rich worry about keeping their wealth. The poor worry about their next meal. The successful worry about losing. the unsuccessful worry about not having enough. All of us have at some point felt this way, worrying so much that we can no longer hear our own hearts. Do you realize? Often we keep chasing after things that haven't arrived, forgetting that we are still living in the present moment. A moment that, if cherished, we would find peace right here, not far away. Yet worry is like a fog covering the path, making us unable to clearly see the simple happiness before our eyes. We worry about tomorrow, about the future, about things that may never happen. And while worrying like that, we miss the most precious moment, this present. The Buddha once taught that the past is gone, the future has not arrived. Only the present is reality. When we understand that, the mind will naturally be more at peace, because worry cannot change anything. It only makes us more tired. Have you noticed? Every time your mind worries, your breath becomes faster, shorter. Your body tenses, your heart beats fast. But when you relax, accept, your breath becomes longer, steadier, and gentler. That is the reflection of the mind and body. When the mind is at peace, the body will be light. When the body is relaxed, the mind will open up. And that is the beginning of peace. Many of us think that we must have a lot of money, a house, fame, and loved ones to stop worrying. But in reality, once they have them, they worry about losing them. That cycle continues endlessly, like a thirsty person drinking seawater, only becoming thirstier. Because the root of worry is not in circumstances, but in each person's clinging mind. When the mind is still attached, even if you have the whole world, you will still feel lacking. When the mind knows contentment, just one meal, one bird song, one ray of sunshine, and you already feel happy. I know sometimes saying, "just let go," sounds easy. But doing it is a whole journey. We cannot force ourselves to stop worrying immediately, but we can learn to recognize that we are worrying. Recognize it, and then smile at it. When you realize, I'm worrying, your mind has already begun to receive the light of mindfulness. The Buddha taught that when the mind has mindfulness, afflictions cannot penetrate. Worry is the same. It will gradually dissipate when you look at it with a clear and gentle mind, not by avoiding or suppressing it. There's a little story I really like about a woman who used to carry too many sorrows in her heart. Every morning, she woke up with a heavy heart, afraid of what was yet to come. One day, she met a Zen master and asked, "Teacher, what must I do to stop worrying?" The Zen master simply smiled and told her to go to the riverbank, pick up a small stone, and hold it tightly in her hand. She did as he said. After a while, her hand got tired. Her fingers started to go numb. The master asked, "Does it hurt?" She nodded. The master said, "Then drop that stone." She hesitated, then slowly opened her hand. The stone fell into the water with a small splash, and then the river surface became calm again. The master said, "You see, worry is like that stone. When you hold on to it tightly, it causes you suffering. But when you let go, don't you see? The water is still calm. The sky is still blue. Only your heart is lighter." Letting go is not giving up everything. It's not being indifferent to life, but understanding that we cannot control everything. There are things that, no matter how much we worry, will still happen in their own way. There are people who, no matter how much we cling to them, will still leave when their karmic connection ends. There are outcomes that, no matter how much we try, will not be as desired. And that is the law of impermanence, the law that the Buddha taught over 2,000 years ago. We cannot resist impermanence. We can only learn to smile at it. My dear friend, life is lived only once. Once to love, once to fall, once to learn how to get up, once to understand and forgive. Don't let invisible worries steal that unique moment. In this world, no one can avoid challenges, but we have the right to choose how we go through them. Choose to resent or choose peace. Choose fear or choose to smile. Choose anxiety or choose to live fully in the present. I remember one afternoon in a small temple courtyard, I saw an old man sweeping fallen leaves. He swept very slowly, each sweep of the broom as gentle as the wind. I approached him and asked, "Aren't you tired, sir? The leaves fall every day. You keep sweeping, but they never end." He smiled gently. "The leaves falling is the leaves' business. Sweeping is my business. Every day I sweep, but I don't let my mind cling to the leaves." Those words, though seemingly simple, were a profound lesson. Life is the same. Things that come are the business of karmic conditions. Things that go are the business of karma. We just need to do our part to keep our minds pure, live wholesomely, and let the rest be carried away by the wind. If you are tired now, don't try to force yourself anymore. Allow yourself to be a little weak, to cry, to rest. No one can be strong forever, and no one has to always pretend to be okay. As long as you know that after all that exhaustion, you can still stand up, still smile. That is true strength. The Buddha taught that humans are born with the seed of peace within them. Anxiety and fear are just layers of dust covering it. When you stop, breathe, and live slowly, that dust will settle, and the seed of peace will shine again. Try it. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. It's still beating steadily. Even if you're sad, even if you're worried, even if you're crying, it's still diligently working every second, every minute, just so you can live. Just as the earth and sky still operate day and night, still bring sunshine and rain so you can breathe. Every time you remember that, you will feel gratitude seep into every breath. And when there is gratitude, anxiety naturally dissipates. Life is lived only once. My friend, don't live forever in regret and fear. Live like a flower blooming in the morning sun, not worrying about withering tomorrow, but blooming fully in this moment. Take a deep breath, smile, and say to yourself, "I am still alive, and I choose to live in peace." Every time you repeat that phrase, the energy of peace will gradually spread in your mind. It not only soothes worries, but also heals the silent wounds within you. If possible, every morning before starting a new day, sit still for a few minutes just to listen to your breath. No need to try to do anything. Just sit still to know that you are alive. Every time anxiety strikes, stop and ask, "Will worrying help me suffer less?" If the answer is no, then you know what you should do. Let go. Because you deserve a lighter soul, a more peaceful sleep, and a true smile. I know life can sometimes be too harsh. There are losses that hurt your heart so much you can't breathe. There are days when you just want to give up everything. But do you know, it is in that moment of weakness that you are most authentic with yourself. And if you can accept that truth without hiding, without judging, then you have already begun the healing journey. Because, as the Buddha taught, no darkness can exist forever before the light of awakening. When you return to your breath, to the present, to the compassion within you, you have stepped out of the shadow of anxiety. My dear friend, thank you for coming with me on this journey. The journey of those who are learning to let go of worry, to live lighter. I believe that even if the road ahead is still challenging, once you know how to see life with peaceful eyes, every step you take will also be a smile. Remember, no one can live for you, and no one can suffer for you. Don't let worry control your life anymore. Be the master of your mind. When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. Life is lived only once. Don't wait until it's gone to regret it. Don't wait until you're sick to value your health. Don't wait until someone leaves to realize how much you loved them. Live every moment fully. Live with gratitude, with mindfulness. Love, forgive, and smile more. Because only when you open your heart will peace have a place to reside. I wish that wherever you are, whatever you are going through, you always keep a bright light in your heart. The light of faith, of love, of peace. Believe that all worries will pass, all wounds will heal, and all suffering will become valuable lessons. Take a deep breath, smile, and say to yourself, I choose peace. Because this life, you only live once, my friend. Stop worrying.